The Bigfooty Port Adelaide podcast is proudly sponsored by New Vision.
My team, Conda, power. I love the power. I love the power.
G'day everyone, this is the Bigfooty Port Adelaide podcast brought to you live on Port Fan Radio. I'm your host Macca 19 and joining us once again this evening is Fishing Rick. How are you, buddy?
Woo! I'm pretty bloody good, Macca. What about you?
What a weekend! What a game!
What a weekend. Told you we'd win, you pessimist.
No, I told you they'd win.
What?
No, I didn't really. I thought we'd lose. That's a great result. What a result.
If we were going to knock them off, round one was going to be the game, wasn't it?
Well, I guess so. Yeah, we snuck up on them. We played bloody hard footy and got the result that we all wanted. So, about time we beat them over there.
Absolutely. Well, it's about time we just beat them anywhere.
True.
Happy, joy.
That's it. Very good weekend indeed. Mate, we've got a lot to get through. We've got a lot of questions, a lot to talk about, obviously. So let's get straight into our love and hate. One thing we loved. One thing we hated about Port Adelaide on the weekend, mate. What you love?
We asking me for my love or my hate?
I know you love me, mate, but
I know,
I'm asking for your love.
I love the fact that what I predicted came true and Captain Trav stood up in the heat of battle. And I loved his aggression. I loved him standing over the top of a player that he knocked down and was just in his face, and he was fist pumping, and it just sets the tone for all our playing group, seeing a leader that's just physical and aggressive, and he wasn't dirty, but it just sets the tone for the whole playing group, and I loved it. And he influenced the game amazingly well, so which was a bonus, which I called.
Oh, he did.
And I noticed that in your run sheet for what you want to talk about tonight, I noticed you didn't want to call the predictions because obviously all of yours were wrong and the bulk of mine were right. So you wanted to vary that up a little bit. But, called it. The captain was going to stand up, and he did.
He did, in absolute massive style. I gave him a 10 out of 10 on my reviews. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. One of the best games he's ever played, and certainly the best game he's played in a couple of years. And that was the Boki from 2013-14 where he just dominated the game, made sure it got played on our terms. And as you said, where he sort of knocked over Parker and kicked that goal and then sort of stood over him and screamed in his face, that was just wonderful. That was the moment of the day.
Yeah, it was the moment of the day. I think you were South Park excited, weren't you?
I was very excited, mate. My love was... Look, the most pleasing thing about the game for me was how we were challenged a few times, but we just kept on responding, like all game, especially in that first half. Over the last few years, we tend to go into our shells a bit, and you can sort of see the opposition run coming, and then they sort of run away with it once they put on the pressure. And there was none of that on the weekend, and we actually had the answers, and we had the response, we had the tools to win the game, and it was so refreshing and such a change from the last couple of years. And on a couple of occasions, especially through that first half, it looked like that time when we would end up finding ourselves 4 or 5 goals down pretty quick, but we just always managed to keep in it and get that goal and then kick away ourselves in that last half, and it was a wonderful thing.
It was an amazing thing, and it was a resilience. And my observation was that, with that resilience was the fact that it looked a little bit different to like a 13 and 14 playing squad, which was just hard and fast and sort of outside, whereas this squad had a lot of core physical strength about them, and we were manning up man to man and dishing it out physically, which was the inside game, the contested ball, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit more detail anyway. But I guess we were really an outside team in those other years, whereas this year we still got that outside run that we can maximise, but now we seem to have that inside grunt. So I think it was a good call, Macca, good call.
What was your hate, if you got one?
Yeah, I do. Oh, you want to hear it? Foxtel's bloody coverage is shit. Honestly, I can't believe they don't broadcast.
What didn't you like about it?
Well, you can't, like, they're they're longer shot. You can't see the picture, like the players. It's all pixelated. It's not clear. It's just woeful. Where's the HD?
I'm not sure. I think that might be some arrangement they've got with one of the other TV stations, I think, which is a bit frustrating.
Well, it's just annoying. As a spectator, I mean, we're in the year 2017 now. I mean, you watch most sport, like you watch nearly any American sport, the picture is crystal clear, the colour is vibrant, and then I was like, I know I'm getting old. I'm 44 now, so I know I'm close to retirement home sort of stuff. But you just couldn't really pick out the picture. So it made watching the game a little bit more difficult. And I'm picking a hen's teeth here for a hate because it was such an awesome game. So I
always
thought
Foxtel did broadcast in HD, and it was Channel 7 which didn't.
Well, I got no idea. Maybe the people that listen can let us know live on the chat or via the forum because it was very average. And even Nicole, who watched the first quarter with me before she got bored, I said, "What do you think of the picture quality?" And she went, "No, this sucks." So it was average. So the game was amazing, but the picture quality sort of makes it difficult to follow specifically the players. So at least I've got a reason for being incompetent of not knowing what players did what.
TV rights cost what? $2 billion. You want to be watching it in the best quality as possible, I think. So. Yeah.
Oh, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to deliver the best product possible? Makes sense to me.
Definitely. My hate, and look, I'm clutching at straws a bit here as well, but I didn't really like Homsha's game through the first half. I thought he got absolutely towed up by Sam Reid and just found himself out of position, and maybe it's a bit of concern. I've not really liked his game for the last 12 months, and that was another example on the weekend, I think.
Really? That is pretty harsh.
Well, Sam Reid kicking 3 goals in a half on you is probably not a great thing, to be honest.
Are we still maybe just adjusting to the defensive structure, which did hold up really, really well over the whole game?
It did. Look, I think it was the defence as a whole. I think was better. As the whole better than the sum of its parts sort of scenario. I think as a group they all performed wonderfully well and we won the game. That was absolutely fantastic. But you look at some of the individual performances. Some of them were wonderful. Some of them less so, I think, on the day. But as a group, they certainly performed.
Round 1, away to Sydney, 28-point win. Haven't won there since 2006.
As I said, mate, clutching at straws, buddy.
Yeah, you've clutched really well because you've dug deep because I didn't see it. But I'll take it. You know more than me.
Well, most of the time, anyway.
Yeah, I'd say maybe 20%. But anyway, that'll do.
I'd be heading towards 85 to 90, but look, I'm happy to drop that back to about 60 if that makes you feel better.
So, remember my call? If we beat Sydney in round 1, would we be premiership favourites or a lock for the top 8? It seems the supporters are very, very optimistic now.
Yeah. Oh, so we should be. We performed really, really well against super tough opposition who had a lot of their stars out there. And we beat them essentially at their own game, which we haven't done for a very, very long time. So, it is probably a little bit early to get too excited, but I think in the moment it's you're certainly welcome to jump up and down, I think, because that was a bloody good performance.
Yeah, it is. It gives us optimism, doesn't it? I mean,
it does.
If you were right with your forecast, we would have been a bit nervous and doom and gloomish for maybe what was going to happen over the next 4 weeks, because we've got a tough run over the next 4 weeks.
We do, but look, if we can get through that, it certainly opens up a little bit.
Absolutely.
Welcome everyone on the Spreaker chat. Scott Kent Collins has joined us and says he loved our composure in the 4th after Sydney's strong push. Got to agree with that one. And James Leach has also said his hate was the deliberate out of bounds.
Yeah.
And there was a couple.
Yeah, I'm sort of accepting of it now because at least they're really, I actually didn't mind the umpiring because I thought that they were just consistent.
Yeah.
Whether it's consistently good or consistently bad, they were consistent and they sort of paid it for both teams. I guess the one that
They did.
if we're talking about the decisions, I guess the one that really agitates me is, poor old Matty Broadbent's on the ground. The Sydney player, 2 seconds later, runs into him, falls in his back, and Broadbent's paid for tripping.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, that was annoying. The other one that I didn't like was Robbie Gray getting kneed in the head. Play on. That's perfectly fine.
Oh, well, he clearly was ducking, right? Trying to initiate concussion. So that's his own fault. But, I don't know. I mean, and the play on, which was discussed on the Bigfooty forums a bit too, that's, we still can't, I don't know. I just don't think it should be that hard to get right. But we seem to not be able to get that right as an AFL system. It just seems very confusing. But then we also had players like Hamish Hartlett that made some bad choices with their options for playing on as well.
Very true. Let's go on to some questions. Jimmy Unchained has asked, how did we rate Cleary's game?
I really like Cleary's game. He, what is he? 19 games in now.
Yep.
Franklin's a freak of a player. So, remember the when we were joking around on Thursday, like the Tony Lockett's and stuff, and sometimes it was like if you can hold Tony Lockett or Gary Ablett or John Dunstall to 8 or 10 goals, you don't worry about it because they're just freaks of players. Buddy's one of those freak players, and
he is.
Really 4 goals, goal a quarter, and he was. Buddy had the feel. He was playing pretty good football. I mean, I thought Cleary did a really good job.
It was a 4-goal game, but you didn't really notice that Buddy actually kicked 4 goals. Like, I was pretty surprised at the end of the game when they said he kicked 4. I was like, I thought he only kicked a couple. But so I thought Cleary, he probably got beaten on the day, but I actually thought he played pretty well. Like, it wasn't a bad performance. He held his own against a super hard opponent. He's not going to play someone tougher than that all year. And I thought he stood up pretty well. So,
what about the concerns from some supporters that we're lacking a bit of height in the defensive half?
I think we certainly are, but once Austin is fit and ready to go, I think he probably comes straight back in.
Who for?
Not too sure on that one. We'll have to wait and see. It would be unlucky for Cleary. It would be unlucky for Jonas. Homsch probably isn't going anywhere either. So, yeah, I'm not sure. It might be poor Dan Houston, who played pretty well in his first game as well.
Oh, geez, that would be rough. I don't know if I'd like that idea. It's just, it's all about balance, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And we're starting to adjust now to sort of Nathan Bassett with the team defence approach. And I guess, so my thought, from the comments from people saying we need more height is, I don't know if we do, because we're sort of playing that structure now where it's the team defence and really people shouldn't be isolated one-on-one against a taller opponent. There should be someone else coming over to spoil the ball and negate. And, obviously if our structure falls down, we're going to be exposed to that one-on-one. So, I don't know. I guess I'd probably be more inclined to make Austin earn it through the reserves and get form and wait for a form drop or, for a defender to elbow someone in the back of the head and get suspended for 6 weeks and then bring him in.
Yeah, I'm fine with that as well. That's perfectly fine. Peck has asked if I can give my longest yeah boy ever. So here we go. No, I'm not going to do that because that'll take too long.
Come on, Macca.
Not now. Nah, not today. Farkern has asked, assuming Jasper, Brody, Hammer and DBJ are all playing well and a first choice, how and where does Dan Houston fit in the side?
Dan Houston fits in the side. Yeah, here's my call, Macca. Are you sitting down?
I'm sitting down, mate.
I think we should trade Jasper.
Oh, what?
I think we should trade him.
Mate, have you been drinking?
No, I think
Have you been smoking?
I think his trade value is going to be highest. I hope Portia's listening in. I'd love to hear her. I'd love to hear her written response, but I think his trade value will be highest. And I think, Darcy Byrne-Jones, Houston, Broadbent, if Bonner keeps developing and improving, even Hamish Hartlett, we've got a plethora of halfback flankers there. I think we can live without Jasper and probably maximise. We could probably get back into the first round in this upcoming draft by trading him.
Well, we wouldn't be trading him because he's a free agent. But you would think we would probably get an end of first round pick for him in compensation. I would hope. Yeah. But look, for me, I think it's pretty simple. Is that out Sam Gray in Jasper Pittard and play Jasper on a wing?
Yeah, well, that too.
If the defence is that settled, we know that Jasper likes to run and carry the ball, and whenever he's played further up the field, he usually plays really, really well. So, I'm totally for that.
But I really love Dan Houston's his ball use coming out of defence. He's probably one of our most, if not cleanest, user of the ball at the moment.
Solid as a rock, mate.
Yeah, and his decision making is fantastic. His overhead ability is strong. I haven't seen his blistering pace out of defence, but I don't think for him that really matters. I don't think
he's quick. He's not overly quick, but I don't think he needs to be.
No, that's right. Yeah. So, I mean, he hasn't put a foot wrong. So I would be very disappointed if we just sort of drop him for a name player at this point in time. Again, I just think all these guys have to earn their spots. And I agree with you, probably, probably Sammy Gray is probably the first, the first one on the chopping block. I've got a bit of a bias against him. I just don't think he's, up to it at that standard long term. So,
All right. Canadian Nemo has asked our thoughts on Polak's game.
Yeah, Polak was awesome.
He was great. He was really great.
As I said, we've commented a few times. I think we forgot about his injury last year and his recovery from it. But his game was amazing, and it's no surprise that we're looking a lot better with Jared fit and consistent.
Yeah. And he did a lot of the tough stuff as well, which I really, really like. 5 tackles, 6 inside 50s, had more contested possessions than uncontested possessions. So, that's a great start to the year for Jared. That's a really good start to the year. And he had a really good first quarter. He was crucial in that last quarter as well to get us over the line. I thought he was great. Canadian Nemo also asks, when did Young become this reliable?
Last year?
I would say from about round 2 last year. Yeah.
What's with the big vein that he's got over his left thigh?
That's a whopper, mate. That is
Isn't
an absolute whopper.
Yeah, I'd like to hear a medical specialist comment about that one. That is huge.
You don't want to pop that because I reckon you'd be dead in about 5 seconds.
He'd be draining the system pretty quickly, eh? Yeah. He should be nicknamed Brain the Vein. Yeah.
There you go. Lord Flashheart has asked, do you think the defensive pressure applied across the ground can be maintained over the season?
Can't see why not.
Yeah, I don't see why not. If we're fit enough, which apparently we are, then we should be able to perform what most other teams across the competition can do, which we haven't been able to over the last couple of years. So I really loved our defensive pressure on the weekend. I thought that was one of the key reasons why we won the game. And look, if we can do that every week, we're going to be a very hard team to beat.
Well, I'm surely an efficient zonal defensive structure is going to maximise your fitness efficiency compared to just gut running, sprinting the lines for 4 quarters every quarter. So I'd hope that if this system doesn't get broken by opposition teams, that it should be sustainable for the whole year.
Yeah, that's it. Flash of Power has asked, what is the magic ingredient that has changed this team from last year?
Yeah, well, we've only got one game as a sample, but I would say for me it would be Paddy Ryder.
Yeah, he's a main part of it. I think it's might be a bit too early to start celebrating too much, but I think hard work and belief are two components which we probably lacked last year, and looks like we've got it back so far this year.
Well, and there's no surprise if you look at the players at the top of the Dream Team rankings or or disposals. It was predominantly our senior players.
Yeah.
And when we lost last year, it was predominantly our senior players that were nowhere near the top, except for maybe Travis and Ollie, who were reasonably consistent but not as influential. So, and that's been a repeat theme of mine over the last two seasons. These senior players need to step up, and they haven't been stepping up. And so, in 1 week, as a great example, they've stepped up and look what difference it makes. And, we spoke about Sam Gray, but who's the first player out? Justin Westhoff or Sam Gray?
You'd have to say Sam Gray at this point. And someone commented on the chat that his defensive pressure this week was great, and I do agree with that. I thought he was great defensively, but he just burned the ball every time he got it, which was a bit of a problem.
Well, this is his problem. He burns the ball when he doesn't hold his feet very well.
Yeah, that's it.
Even last year and the year before, he goes to ground a lot, and it's like he slips on purpose or slides, and that's the only problem. But but what how did you go with Justin's game?
To be honest, I barely even knew he was out there.
Yeah.
Like, it took me until about the third quarter to realise that he is actually playing. I just didn't see him do much at all. I'm not saying he played a bad game. I'm just saying that he played a pretty invisible one. Yeah,
well, that's because he didn't really touch it for 3 quarters, Macca.
Yeah, which has always been a problem in the past.
How can that be a good game if you're not getting the ball?
Right, that's fair. James Leach has said on the Spreaker chat, do you agree that the players came out looking different Saturday than most of last year? He says that before the bounce, he knew that we were going to win.
Jeez, that's confidence.
That is confidence.
Did they have a strut in their run through the banner?
Must be the back panel, mate.
It was. I love the back panel. That back panel was just the best. But look, they were more physically aligned and intimidating on the ground. Yeah. And every single player out there, except for Brody, who squibbed that contest going back in front of Franklin, were hitting it hard and standing up and putting their body on the line and being really physical. That was the main difference. We've been too insipid. Oh, I had another hate too, Macca.
Okay.
I don't like Ken Hinckley saying we're going to try. There is no try. There's only do.
Okay, fair enough.
Because it's giving the players a cop-out subconsciously by saying we're going to try and come out next week and do what we did against Sydney. We're going to come out next week and we're going to do what we did against Sydney, but we're going to do it even better. And that should hopefully be good enough for us to beat Freo. And if not, well, then Freo played better than us. But we're not going to try, we're going to do.
Mate, I think you're our next senior coach.
We're going to do, Macca. We're going to do, not try. Screw that stuff.
Portmanteau has asked, where are Fremantle at?
Down the bottom of the ladder?
Yeah, a little bit south of Perth, I think. A bit southwest of Perth. But yes, we will be talking about that on Thursday night for sure, where Freo are at and what we can expect from that game. You and
Porsche are going to talk about that one?
Mate, don't let off the surprise.
Oh, shit.
Jesus.
Sorry, me and you were talking about that.
That's it. And the last question we've got is from Charlie Kelly. Holding the man freeze finally being paid against key defenders. Did this make a difference for Charlie Dixon's game?
No, not really.
It certainly did early, but then he went missing again. It would be good if he did get 2 free kicks, 25 metres out straight in front every week. That'd be nice.
Look, you got to give the defenders a little bit of leeway. I mean, what did you think about the free kick where I think Grundy went to spoil and it went over his shoulder, and then Jason Dunstall was having a bit of a squeal that you got to let the defenders off. It didn't really influence the player, and I always thought any contact above the shoulder, the umpires always paid it regardless.
Free kick's a free kick, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they are getting very tough on defenders.
Yeah, probably. But what are you going to do, eh?
Get more goals?
That's it.
Sounds good to me.
Right, let's go straight into our review. And look, round one came and went in pretty emphatic fashion for Port Adelaide as it beat last year's grand finalist Sydney away from home for the first time since 2006 by 28 points. 17 goals 8 to 12 goals 10 in Travis Boak's 200th match. Aaron Young and Chad Wingard led the way with 3 goals each, whilst Boak, Dixon and Powell Pepper kicked 2 as well. Do you want to give a quick overview of the game, mate? Yeah,
well, from the blurry vision that I had from Foxtel, I mean, like I said earlier, I think the key to our success was Paddy Ryder getting first hands on the ball, which allowed us to have midfield structure, which then was able to influence the contest and win the contested possession. So as Longmire pointed out in his post-game review, Port beat them at their own game, which was the contested possession, and it was fantastic that we finally had done that. After 11 years, 11 painful and 2 longer years. It was ridiculous it's taken that long. So, I mean, as I said earlier, that shows the difference between having an influential ruckman and not, because it just allows your structures to be in place. It allows players to have confidence in that structure, and therefore we can win our fair share of ball. Outside of that, it was, as we've also discussed, the physical presence of all the players was evident and allowed us to hold our own and not be intimidated. And I think that's what generates the resilience. So when the opposition does get a little bit of a run on, having that physical ability to go, no, stuff you, we're not putting up with this, allows you to get back in the game instead of rolling over. I guess I wasn't at the game, so it was really hard to sort of see the structure. So I was sort of relying on other people, but I thought some of the behind the goal vision, our defensive structure, from their kick-ins looked really solid. It seemed we had sort of like a circular zone around the 50-metre arc for where the ball was going to land, and then we had good lines in our defensive zones to stop the outlet run from there. But again, it's very hard to see without being live and present. But
Bassett earning his money, mate.
What's that?
Bassett earning his money.
Absolutely, and I think there's been comments in the past that he can be a bit complicated with his structure. So maybe it's taken our guys a bit of time to adjust to what Bassett wanted. But you could definitely see that we were able to slow down Sydney's transition, which is something we haven't been out with any team in the last 2 years be able to do consistently.
Absolutely. Yep.
So we really were able to slow down the switch, whereas we were also able to implement our own switch. And we had a really efficient game plan. I was really impressed. And it was inspired by our leaders. And, so Carl Amon, Dan Houston, all those type of guys, Sam Powell Pepper, which I'm sure you're going to talk about for 20 minutes shortly.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to get be relied on for 30 possessions. They need to get their 12, and just influence the game. And the boys that are supposed to be influence the game do. I mean, Brad Ebert was fantastic inside and out. Ollie Wines was a beast. Travis stood up, and my main concern, I guess, with Travis and Hamish Hartlett is the amount of times they fumble marks. They do fumble quite a bit.
They probably, especially Hammer. I think Hammer does quite a bit. Bloke can sometimes have slippery fingers, but I thought he was pretty good on the weekend. And look, it was wet. It did rain for half the game, so wasn't played in great conditions.
I'm pretty sure he fumbled when it was dry too. But look, our forward setup, I still don't think our tall forwards. We're probably in the bottom half of the league for tall forwards, I reckon. But
we've got one name key forward who's out of form. We've got a first gamer, and we've got Westhoff, who's spends half the game playing as the loose man down back. So,
but we've got some awesome smalls. Small forwards. Yeah. And it was interesting, the comment too about Robbie Gray. Let's take out his head knock, which some people are pretty bloody harsh, because I don't know, I've been kneed in the head before, and it does actually take a bit of time to recover from getting a big knee in the head. So
And it was a pretty significant knee in the head, wasn't it?
yeah, it wasn't just a little tap.
It was a
bit
love
of
tap.
There was some accidental force to it. So he probably would have had a headache, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
it was interesting that the comments that people made about our midfield structure without Robbie Gray in there, and our midfield structure looked fantastic. So maybe there is some method to the madness about having Robbie Gray more so up forward than in our midfield.
Yeah, most likely. Just want to talk about the midfield again. Well, as we mentioned in the preview, the midfield battle was always going to be the most important part of this game, playing against those big, hard, tall, strong bodies of the Sydney midfield. And look, we absolutely delivered on the day. We won the clearances 69-61, and we won the contested possession by 22 as well. Josh Kennedy was still a monster out there, but to have Ebert and Wines collect 9 clearances each, and Powell Pepper in his first game get 7, was just so crucial in getting the ball going in our favour.
Absolutely. And so how did you find SPP? And he got the Rising Star nomination today too.
He did. I just got the note about that, which is wonderful. Look, quite simply, have you seen a better debut than that?
Pretty tough. Yeah, there's been some debuts where they've got Rising Star noms, and it's been loose games, and they've received 30 loose possessions, and it's a bit questionable. But he was hard. Unlucky not to have 3 goals. Kicked a nice bomb. Used the ball reasonably well. Had body impact. The guy's a beast, and I read the story about the scouts in Port saw him in 2016 and sort of based their trading to get him for this draft, which was staggering, really.
Well, at the moment, this early stage, it looks like the right decision because he's come to play. He's got a ready-made body. He's quick. He's got really good skills. And look, to bomb 2 goals from outside 50 in your first game. Like, settle down, son. Come on.
What was the pre-draft concerns with him? Because he played like a top 10 player, obviously.
The pre-draft concerns were that he had poor skills, which were based largely off. And look, this is all just going off, internet recruiters here. And that sort of poor skills was based off a 2015 highlights package. From the year before. And it was also based around the fact that he never really won a lot of the football at the championships. He was more of a sort of 10 to 15 disposal player as opposed to someone that was getting 20, 25 touches a game. So he was very much an impact player without that real sort of quantity of the ball. So I think that was the main concerns. And look, he might taper out. Who knows what's going to happen in the future and with his career. But at this early stage, he looks like an absolute beast. And I'm absolutely stoked that we got him. And as I said, that's one of the best debuts I've seen from a first gamer. To kick 2 massive goals, get 19 touches, 7 clearances, lead the way and barely put a foot wrong. Wonderful performance.
What, so you think he might be a shooting star and fade like Wade Thompson?
Wade Thompson. That's an interesting one. No, I wouldn't have thought so, mate. No, look, I think Powell Pepper's going to be in it for the long haul. He looks like an absolute determined young individual, and absolutely stoked we got him. I'm still shaking my head that he fell to our pick.
I really hope we don't try to lay him down too much, but I guess in relation to all the players, did you know? What I noticed was like our upper torsos were really, really noticeable and strong, and our core in their bodies were strong too. So it does look like their physiques have actually altered a little bit this year compared to last year.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe we finally got the that balance right, which would be good.
Yeah. So what were your observations outside of mine on the game, mate?
Oh, look, I thought we played really, really well. And, it certainly wasn't a perfect performance. We still burned the ball quite a bit. We turned it over at silly times. We missed easy targets. We made some silly errors, like, as you mentioned, drop marks and that sort of thing. But, for a pure sort of in and under guts performance and beating a team at their own game, and that team being Sydney, Mate, I honestly didn't think that would happen. Not this year, not today, not on Saturday. I mean, I'm absolutely stoked with how they played. And as we've said, the main thing to take out of that game was just the raw power that we had through that midfield to win a lot of the contested ball and get it forward. The defence as a whole played really, really well as a unit for the first time in a long time. And the forward line just really sort of gelled together, and especially considering that the tall forwards didn't really have great games. We still kicked a winning score.
Yeah, so do you think our tall forward structure can improve? What about the Jacko experiment?
Look, he was all right. I thought he was okay. He took some strong grabs, kicked a really nice goal in the first quarter. I thought he rucked really well as well. Do we need him and Westhoff and Eddie and Dixon up there? I'm not too sure. One of them's probably got to go. But look, at this point in time, I think Trengove played a pretty good game. So happy to keep it going at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said you'd be happy if you got 1 goal a game.
Yeah, I would be happy if he averaged a goal a game this year. I think that'd be pretty decent for your sort of third tall forward wrestling ruckman type. So,
I guess sometimes we get a bit unrealistic as supporters of what the actual goal output should be for a player, don't we?
Yeah. Look, if everyone's averaging 2.5 goals a game, then you're going to be kicking like 30 goals every week, which is obviously never going to happen, is it? So.
No, and I mean, I thought Anthony Hudson had a good stat there when he spoke about Ryder and said he's the only ruckman since, I don't know, what was it, 2011 or 12, who's averaged a goal a game in AFL football. So it shows that for a ruckman it doesn't happen a lot.
All that often. No, definitely not.
Yeah. So you're right. If we can get a nice efficient season and he can kick a goal a game and maybe every now and again bob up with 2 or 3, to keep that average, I'm with you. And I mean, Chad's good for usually, 2 goals a game, if not 3.
Yeah.
What is he? About 50 goal, 40 to 50? So
he's usually a 20 and 2 player, so he's good for that sort of 45 to 50 goals. And,
Aaron Young, Bob, he's, the last year and a bit, he's been averaging 2 goals a game as well, pretty much. So, there's... it starts to look pretty good, doesn't it?
It does. I want to talk about some individual performances just for a little bit. Boki in his 200th game, as we mentioned before, one of the best captain's performances I've seen from him. 26 touches, a couple of crucial goals, and really shut down Parker from having any sort of influence in the game, I thought. And even though Parker still had, 25 touches or so, 25 touches, and he still got his stat sheet still looked pretty strong. I thought he had 0 real cutting influence on the game, and that's one of the best games of Boak's career in my view.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. I thought it was a great captain's game and exactly what the players needed. They needed to follow their leader, and that's what he did. Did you stand up, jump off the couch, and stare down and scream at your TV with him when he did that?
I had a big grin on my face when I saw him do it.
Yeah, but that's what you want, though, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You just got to wonder if it was because of his 200th game that he really sort of lifted his level an extra notch. But
I don't know. I think it was just more I guess maybe
do you think there was something physically troubling him last year, which is why he didn't perform up to expectation?
Well, that was the rumour. But, I think it was more he was pumped that, that they were resilient and actually getting on top of Sydney.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
You could sense that momentum as well. You could sense that they knew they were in the game. And every time we kicked a goal, they were jumping all over each other. It was great.
And it's amazing how in AFL sport, or any sport really, you feed off the momentum. Oh,
you do, absolutely.
And the momentum just makes such a difference. So look, I was ecstatic for Travis. I mean, I was a bit disappointed with his output last year. So hopefully he can continue it on.
That's it. Speaking of best ever games, Brad Ebert played one of his absolute career best games as well. I thought he beat Hanbury in the first half and was just an absolute monster in the middle, and we've rarely seen him play that sort of pure inside role before, especially not in the last couple of years. But he was absolutely exceptional at it. 11 tackles, 9 clearances, 7 inside 50s. Got an obscene amount of the ball and just did all the hard stuff as good as you could hope. And as I said, that's up there with his best ever games.
Absolutely. His 2014 was pretty strong. He put a
He
few
was
good games.
excellent that year. But he's always been that more sort of outside, hard running player. That real gut runner as opposed to sort of like a Josh Kennedy style inside beast, which is kind of how he played on the weekend.
Yeah, and he was one where I was talking about the physical structure of the body. You could really notice the sort of the change in the body shape there as well, and it just allows us to really push hard. I'm a bit distracted.
The long hair and the bandage, mate, can't beat it.
Well, when doesn't he bleed?
Yeah.
Is there a week that he's not bleeding?
Look, if he's got a bandage on, he's going to play a good game.
Absolutely. So, how's the cricket going, Macca?
Don't know, mate.
Yeah, not good.
I'm watching MKR at the moment, so not too sure.
Is that show still going?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Aussies are in the poo.
There you go. Well, another player who had one of his career best games was Tommy Jonas. And look, we know he's been down on output the last couple of years, but honestly, that's just about the best game I've seen him play. Tippett got...
Come on.
What was wrong with his game? You name me a better game that he's played than that.
Well, he was on Kurt Tippett for a start, so...
It doesn't matter who he's on. He absolutely smashed Tippett, who, look, is a very dangerous tall forward.
He is a marshmallow. You would smash Tippett. You would smash
tough
Tippett.
Forward. He gave him absolutely nothing. The only goal he got was because Homps ran headfirst into him. Then he went on to Reed, who kicked 3 goals in the first half, and he barely got a kick after half-time. I thought he marked really strongly. He read the play super well. He spoiled excellently. Used the ball better than we've seen the last couple of years as well. That's as good as it gets for Tommy. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, I guess the key to a good defender is not being noticed, isn't it? And if your opponent isn't being noticed either, well, then you've done your job. So, I mean, I didn't really notice Kurt Tippett, and I didn't really notice Tom Jonas. So, he must have done a good job. But I mean, I still think Kurt's a bit of a marshmallow. So, and Tom's a hard player, and I'm positive Kurt doesn't like the tough players.
Yeah, fair enough. On the other end of the spectrum, Brett Eddy in his first game probably didn't go as planned. He not much really went his way, I didn't think. A couple of times players kicked over his head when he was on decent leads, that sort of thing. Only got the couple of kicks.
Goal assist.
He did get a goal assist. He got a couple, actually, I think.
But I mean...
his efficiency was very, very good. He just only got 3 touches.
The third forward can be a difficult position at the SCG because of the...
And we did mention that in the preview as well, that it's a difficult ground for tall forwards.
Because you can just get lost under the ball. Well, I'd hope so. We won convincingly. He had a good pre-season. I don't see the benefit of removing him from the side at this point in time. I mean, let's see us have poor form or him consistent poor form before suddenly removing him. I mean, who are we going to replace him for at this point in time?
Well, I'm not too sure. I mean, it would only be if someone like Monfries comes back into the side. We don't really have any other sort of tall player to bring in, do we? So, unless we wanted to sort of play Lobie in the ruck and play Ryder up forward, which would be an absolute
disastrous.
Negative.
It would be.
Look, I'm happy to persist with him and give him, a good sort of 5-6 games to let him settle in at this level and see what he can do.
Excuse me, unless we wanted to roll the dice on a Billy Frampton or something like that, I just don't see the need. I'm with you. I'd rather let him string 6 games together, especially on the bigger Adelaide Oval, and see what he can do there.
Yeah, the good thing is that he commands attention. Like, he's got the size, he's got the pace. We know he can kick goals. he's going to command a decent play. And we saw Dane Rampy go to him on the weekend. So that really sort of took Rampy out of the play because his intercept marking and rebound work is just about his best asset. And he did not much of that on the weekend.
Well, I mean, if the midfielder's got an option of kicking it to Eddie or Dixon, who do you think they're predominantly going to kick it to?
Well, they're going to kick it to Dixon, aren't they? But if Eddie's there as a decent option, then
but
they've just got to look for him and make sure they hit the target.
I guess that's where I'm trying to get at. I mean, they're going to look for Dixon probably first. If Westhoff actually was there, they'd probably look for Westhoff. They'd probably look for Chad Wingard. They'd probably look for Aaron Young. They'd probably look for Robbie Gray. So he's going to be down the bottom of the queue with being sought after.
Yeah.
And so that's probably, and I guess the bigger oval of Adelaide Oval is going to allow him to find more space. And I'd really like to see him on some bigger ovals and see what he can do first.
Yeah, for sure. Carla Amon, how did you find his game? He was only on the ground for 57% of the time, so he didn't get a lot of game time.
Loved his goal.
It was a great goal.
And I thought he used
the setup for the one before that as well was
absolutely
pure class as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, not everyone is going to get 20, 30 disposals in a game of football. So if that's not your role, well, then it just comes down to
when the ball comes your way, you just got to make
use
every
it.
touch count.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what he did. And I guess it was interesting that he only played so little game time, really.
Yeah, he was the least played player on our side on the weekend, so not sure if that was by design or it just sort of happened to work that way. But I thought he was okay when he came on the ground, and I'm a big fan of Amon. I think he's got a big future and can be a crucial part to our side going forward. I think he's got great skills, good pace, kicks goals, sets goals up. He's pretty underrated.
And what about Sam Powell-Pepper? He was in the 60s for game time as well. So is it just player welfare management?
I think so.
Management?
You don't want to burn him out. And I think Ollie Wines in his first year was around about the same, sort of 65 to 70% time on ground mark. So I would expect that from Powell-Pepper in just about every game this year, I think.
Yeah, makes sense.
It does. The other player, I guess, that we should talk about is Hamish Hartlett, who obviously went back into the back line for his new role. How did you see his game?
Well, I saw his Twitter quote where he thought he was average except for that sausage roll. I didn't think it was average. It was respectable. I didn't think it was an awesome game. But, regardless of what Hamish does, one thing he will do is he's actually, at least he's physical with his play.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind attacking the body and all that sort of stuff. He might not be one of those high tackling players, but he's happy to, hit the contest and hit the body. And, that was the sort of stuff we could sort of see on the weekend. And, great goal. I thought I read somewhere that he can't kick 50 metres anymore. Well, he looked like he can still kick 50 metres to me. And,
that goal,
drop,
which barely got about 3 metres off the ground and hit the back fence on the full. From about 65 out. It was great.
That drop mark was pretty woeful. And at this standard, he shouldn't be happening. His decision making at times, like, playing on from taking that play on rule under a lot of high pressure, probably isn't the best either. But, look, it was a serviceable game. I mean, how many points did you give him?
I think I gave him 6 or 7. I thought he played really well, to be honest.
So
obviously he made those couple of clangers, but he always tends to do that. Like there's always a memorable stuff up from Hammer every game, I think, which he needs to sort of iron out.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I thought he played a lot better than what I was expecting. He played a different role to what I was expecting as well. I thought defensively he was really, really good. And he made sure that every time he got the ball, he tried to make it count. So, good first game down there.
Could be worse, my friend. Could be worse. He could have played like Justin Westhoff.
Anything else you want to talk about the game, mate?
Well, did we recognise Ollie Wines? I thought he was a beast.
Ollie was an absolute beast. He was. That was, look, he was close to best on ground. I think I had him third or fourth. I thought a few other players had more influence on the result than what he did. But look, 33 touches, 9 clearances, 16 contested possessions, couple of goal assists. Great game.
Yeah, and we already spoke about Dan Hewson. I mean, I just think he's a real up-and-comer. Massive fan, and Darcy Byrne-Jones is just really, really consistent now. So, look, good, even team performance. The mature players all stood up. I would be really, really hoping for that again. And, I think for those punters out there, my tip would be get on Port to beat Carlton by over 100 points when they play here, because I reckon it'll be a massacre.
I hope so.
Yeah.
If we lose to them this year again, I'm not going to another game of footy again. That's it. See you later. No, obviously not, but to beat them by 100 points would be wonderful and would be great retribution for the last couple of years.
I can see a smashing coming on.
Yes.
But outside of that, I think everyone did well. Coaches did well. Not much to criticise here, thank God.
No. Great start to the season. I guess the question, if you're not going to be on the preview podcast, do we make any changes this week?
I would say no.
Yeah,
Winning form.
I would be leaning towards the same. I think the only change that I would make is if Pittard's fit. I think Impey and Cracker will have to sit it out in the SANFL. I don't think they've done anything to deserve to come straight back into the team. But yeah, it just depends if Pittard's fit. And even if he is, I still think maybe we should keep that group together for just one more round. See what they can do.
Winning form is good form. That's what I say.
Certainly
back in the young boys. I'd even, if I was going to make any changes, Sammy Gray out and Atley in.
Atley in, okay. Yep.
I'm a big fan.
I'm a big fan too. I wouldn't mind that either.
That would be about it. Or even Westhoff out for Atley.
Okay.
I'm just not a fan
Fair
at
enough.
the moment.
That's right.
Justin's lost me.
That's okay.
We're out of alignment, me and Justin.
That's all right. Might be the beard. I don't know.
No, it's the fact that he just doesn't do anything for 3 weeks out of 4. And then he bobs up once a month and has a great game, and then everyone thinks he's a really, really good, consistent player.
Well, he's 29 or 30, so I don't think he's going to change that anytime soon, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I know, and I've complained about it for like 5 years now. So
that's it.
I'll just keep complaining about it.
Yes. Obviously, in the preview, we had the game changer and the X Factor. I wanted to just see what ended up being your game changer and your X Factor this week.
X Factor. Well, the X Factor would have to be Sam Powell-Pepper, wouldn't it?
Okay, that's a good call. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he was the X Factor. He had a bit of intimidation, used the ball well, kicked those long goals. So I guess I'm picking him out of definition because we're talking about someone that maybe we weren't expecting. So he is my call.
Yep.
What about you?
I had Youngie on the day. I thought he kicked 3 absolute class, clever goals, which showed real poise, and they all came at crucial times as well. Jumping over players and dodging them to kick goals from the square. I thought he showed real class there, and Callum Mills is a real quality young player. I think he won the Rising Star last year, but he just couldn't go with Youngie for most of the day. And if he can obviously he's not going to kick 3 goals every week, but if he can average 17 touches and kick a goal or 2 a game and have the odd game where he does kick 3 or 4, he's going to be in for an absolute super year.
Yep, I'm happy with that one. Super.
And who was your game changer, mate?
It was hard. Yeah.
There's probably 3 or 4 that you could choose.
There's probably the person I'm going to pick. There is 3 or 4 midfielders that you probably could say were better, but because they were all so evenly consistent, I'm going to say the game changer for me, based on last season's woeful performance, was Paddy Ryder.
Okay. Yep. I love
he
that
was
call.
He was our game changer.
He was. Yeah. He fed our midfielders the ball all day, 28 hit-outs, and it was great to see him back, and it was great to see him so emotional after the game as well.
Fuck yeah.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. The
Indeed.
emotion just got away with me. I apologise.
As I said on the forum, I loved how he almost swore to begin with and sort of stopped himself. He sort of went, oh, and then sort of stopped, and then 2 seconds later he swore anyway. Couldn't help himself, but that's fine. Look, my game changer was Boki. Captain in his 200th game, he just bossed that midfield like we haven't seen for a couple of years, and was the big reason for me why we won the game.
Yeah, I like it.
So name us your top 5 on the ground, mate.
Oh, this is your stuff, Macca. I'm never any good at this stuff, but I guess I'd go Paddy Ryder, I'd go Ollie Wines, I'd go Travis Boak.
Yep.
Brad Ebert.
Mm-hmm.
And who kicked the 3 goals?
Chad and Youngie.
Chad get 3?
Yep.
Yeah, well then I'd go Chad for 20 disposals. And I didn't notice Jonas, so you sold me, so you could probably give him an honourable fit with Chad.
All right. I had Boak as probably best on ground. Jonas second best. He was absolutely wonderful. Ebert third best. Ollie Wines with his performance in 4th, and Youngie with his 3 goals in 5th for me.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Oh,
what a start to the year.
Didn't fit in the Chad.
I couldn't squeeze
Hey?
in the Chad. No. He was close. He was
Well, how many
probably
disposals?
He had
How
19
many
touches and
disposals
3
did Aaron
goals.
Young?
So he had 2 more touches than Youngie.
There you go. That's why.
That's it. But look, Ryder was unfortunate. He's probably an honourable mention for me as well.
Yep.
That's it. Well,
But happy days. I mean,
happy
look,
days, mate.
what is it? 1 win in like how many years? 13 years or something ridiculous?
1 win since 2006, so now it's 2.
Yeah. I mean, it's an appalling record. So hopefully we can get a bit of a run on. It'd be nice to be able to, if we play, I can't remember if we play them again. So it'd be nice to be able to knock them off again if we do. And if we don't play them again in the minor round, it'd be nice to knock them off in the finals.
How good is it to start the season looking good against a quality team and coming away with the win? I remember last year we won the game, I think convincingly in the end against St Kilda by 40-odd points or something, but there were huge problems with how we played that day. And a lot of us were like, oh, you know, if we come up against a quality side, who knows what's going to happen? And, you know, we came up against one the week after and lost by 70 points or something. So I don't see that happening this week. I think that's a real great start to the season, and it gives us a real boost in confidence and a great base to start off.
Well, look, it's interesting. I didn't see I know you were going to go to this around the grounds thing anyway, but I didn't see the Crows GWS game. But, you know, everyone was a bit worried about playing GWS in round 3. But they got smashed by the Crows yesterday. So, you know, is going to GWS's home ground, whatever it is, going to be as intimidating as what we thought it might be?
I think it will. I still think it will. Yeah, you can't base things off one game, and the Crows are going to be a very hard side to beat this year, especially at home. You know, they've got a very good lineup, so, and they're in that sort of right age experience sort of bracket where they're going to be pushing for going deep into the finals. So, unfortunately, GWS is still going to be bloody hard to beat.
We're supposed to be in that age bracket too, aren't we?
We are, and I think we're in the top 4 at the moment. So.
Nice.
Let's keep it that way.
Yes.
So did you watch much other footy this weekend, mate?
No.
That's all right. I watched the first game, the Carlton-Richmond one. That was quite interesting.
Yeah.
And saw about half the Collingwood-Western Bulldogs game as well.
Did you? So
and the second half of the Essendon-Hawthorn game too, which was quite a good game, I've got to say. That was a really good second half.
I did keep an eye on the results more than watch the games because I've been, as you saw, you commented on the photo, I've been doing some training, it was 9 days straight from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock, including the weekends, and then, you know, get home at night. The last thing I want to do is really sit in front of a TV and watch footy. So, but I watched the results, and I was really, you know, the Essendon Hawthorn result was a bit of a surprise. Geelong winning so convincingly away against Freo was a bit of a surprise as well. And the Lions getting over Gold Coast. That was interesting.
I didn't expect that to happen at all. They absolutely killed them for 3 quarters until Gold Coast sort of stormed home at the end. But yeah, I didn't expect that one. I sort of half expected Essendon would beat Hawthorn with the emotion of their players coming back. The Melbourne St Kilda result was a bit of a strange one for me as well. I tipped the Saints and they started the game really well, but then obviously went into their shells a bit.
Yeah, so how did Hogan go for Melbourne? Did he clunk a few, did he?
Oh, I'm not sure. I haven't seen any of that game yet, but I think he kicked 3 goals.
So I was talking about Essendon with someone the other day because they were going, "Oh, I feel sorry for Essendon. I hope they have a good year this year." And I was like, "No, screw them. They're bloody cheats, man.
Yeah,
the players cheated. The club cheated. I have no sympathy. I thought they got off with what they did actually pretty easy, really, all things considered." So, no,
I'm glad they beat Hawthorn because I don't particularly want Hawthorn to make the finals this year, but that's probably about as far as it goes for me. But I think Essendon will have a good season. They'll push for the finals. They got a really good side.
Yeah. I hope not. I don't like it. Well, even though we've got a good record against Essendon, so yeah, I hope they do make the finals. Yeah. But I guess one of the more concerning things for me, Macca, is I actually watched Bruce Almighty last night, and the movie wasn't that good. So I don't know how I put that in my top 5 of Jim Carrey films and not have The Truman Show in there.
Mate, The Truman Show is a classic.
I know. And then someone brought up today number 23. That was a good movie too.
I didn't like it. I did not like that at all. No.
Ah.
No. I thought the story was just too vague and just a bit sort of vanilla. It was just too loose. I don't know. It didn't all come together strongly enough at the end, I don't think.
Right. So maybe next week our topic be the top 5 Bill Murray movies.
Oh, Groundhog Day #1.
Oh, I love Groundhog Day. Love it. Even though
it is a classic.
Even though his lower lip in Caddyshack was pretty impressive.
Yeah, true. Well, we can save that for another day, mate.
Yes, we can.
That's it. Well, you have a good week, buddy.
I will. It looks like Australia are going to suck. We've got 1 wicket left and we lead by 103 runs. So we're capitulating. We are capitulating. That is a shame. But I will have a good week. You have a good week. Enjoy Thursday night. I'm awesome to hear that Porsche's back. So I guess we'll rotate a little bit again. So have a good preview show and I'll hopefully be able to tune in.
That's it. Until next time, mate.
Ciao,
yeah,
ciao.
boy!
Yeah, the boys. Yeah.
That's
yeah,
as much as
I
I'm
think
doing. Otherwise it'll go forever.
Time. Yeah.
Woo!
Power.
The heat's on in the kitchen.
Oh, look at this.
Play it simple. Good attack from Galapati Carlisle. He left his man. He took them on. He gets the lines.